right. Let's do it that professional way like we did the last time.
Yeah, okay.
Hi, guys. This is Creatures of the Night podcast, and I'm Wendy.
Ooh, and I'm Chris. I didn't realize you were recording.
I said let's be professional, Chris.
I'm sorry. Yes. Welcome, guys. Thanks for listening.
And Happy New Year, people. It is now 2020. How fucking crazy is that?
Here it is.
Shouldn't we have like flying cars by now or something?
Yeah, I think we are actually supposed to have them last year, right? What was in Back to the Future? What year was it? Was it 2019?
I think it was last year, but I remember them making a big deal about it. And then the hoverboards and
hoverboards.
It was some kind of maybe like a sneaker that had come out.
Yes, the tying shoe, like the Nikes. I think Nike came out with like a special.
Right. Yeah. But I didn't see any flying cars, so
no.
Which
no.
I don't really dig the whole flying car thing. Like I hope to pass over that completely. I'm all about a teleporter. That's what I want.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
If I can just get out of having to really leave my house, so I just be in my house and then all of a sudden I'm at the mall. Cool. I didn't have to worry about driving, finding a parking spot, dealing with traffic. None of that. I'm just there.
There's that whole, your particles have to break down and then reform, and that's a little scary.
I know, like Willy Wonka style. In a million pieces over your head.
Right. But I'm like really cheap. So if they ever do get this technology together and we have teleporters, it's not like I'm going to be the first one trying it out, No. So I'm going to wait until it's a little cheaper.
Wait until that comes to Sam's Club.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's going to be like the Tesla model at first.
Yeah.
We're going to have to wait a few years.
Yeah, I got to get the Ford version of it.
Right.
That's me. Anyways, also, before we go any further, I have to say to you, Chris, happy 10-year anniversary.
Aw, 10 years.
It was 10 years ago, January 1st, that we made our first attempt at paranormal investigating together.
That's true. Wow. 10 years.
Yep.
It's funny because we've been saying it's, been 10 years for like the past 4 years.
Well, we knew each other for a long time, even before we started doing this. So I think when we started doing it, and after, 5 and 6 and 7 years, we're like, haven't we been doing this forever together? So not thinking about it, not doing the math, we're just like, yeah, I think it's been 10 years. And we've been saying that for 3 years. So it's officially the 10-year mark now.
Wow. So we don't have to lie anymore. That's awesome.
We're not lying. So like a year from now, we can start saying 15. So...
Good. I'm on board with this plan.
We're like those Ghost Adventure seasons,
Right.
It's like a year is like 3 months to us.
Say, well, then in Ghost Adventure season time, we've been doing this for like 25 years or something, right?
Yeah. Just as long as them, basically.
Basically,
Their show was out for probably a year before we started.
Wow. Was it like a whole year or like a season?
That is a difference in math, a big difference.
Wow. Happy anniversary. That's crazy.
Yeah. I still remember it like it was yesterday. I mean, I don't remember yesterday very well, but I got a decent timeline of it. So I remember bits and pieces.
Yeah.
I do remember that it was New Year's Eve, and we had made plans that once we had done the whole countdown thing and we put the kids to bed, that we would go over to the Bethel Presbyterian Cemetery, which was not far from where we lived in Atoka, Tennessee, for anyone that wants to look that up. Because it was a pretty legendary haunt in that area.
Right. What's the website? prairieghosts.com. If you look up Memphis, it's in the list of like things that are in Memphis and surrounding areas. Atoka, that cemetery is listed there. So it's a big deal.
And people in the area that are into the paranormal, I mean, they know the stories that come from that cemetery. I mean, because one of them's kind of messed up. I mean, there's a possible like cryptic type beast there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a really cool cemetery, too, because it's one of those where when you drive past it, the road goes down and you are like basically alongside the hill where the bodies would be.
Yes.
So, it's a weird vibe when you're going through there always. My mom always didn't like that. I always kind of did. So
to me, it's really pretty.
It is.
And it then got that creepy level when you think about, what about when all that erodes away?
Yeah, right.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah,
eventually. For people that live in the area, if you ever go out to Shelby Forest, it's all you see is how much like it's eroding away.
Yeah, well, that might also be because of Pigman. He does some stomping around through there.
I forgot. That's who's tearing it up. But guys, you got to hear this story. So out of the Bethel Cemetery, there are people that say they have encountered a half lion, half dog that lives in the woods next to the cemetery and has been known to chase people out late at night. Now, we never encountered this beast that night or the numerous times we investigated the cemetery over the years. But like Chris said, it is a cool cemetery, and it's an old cemetery. It dates back to the 1850s, and there were reports of encounters with unfriendly spirits that a lot of people believe were the spirits of prisoners that were buried there, though you can't really tell from markings on the gravestones. But there were also reports of some malicious ghost children wandering the grounds too. So, I mean, we had to check out these claims.
Yeah. And, just as you're going into it, I'm sitting here thinking, like, why did I move away? It was such a convenient graveyard. And there's so many stories.
But our first trip there, I'll be honest, we didn't experience much. My sister and a mutual friend had come with us. They both refused to get out of the car as soon as we pulled up, which wasn't surprising. But we were still really pumped to go into the cemetery. Yep. And I think as we got further and further in, we noticed all kinds of flaws with our plan.
Oh, yeah.
It had been very cold that day and ice had formed on the ground. So like every step, it was like crunch, 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 crunch,
crunch, crunch. Very loud.
Yeah, you were not going to hear anything unless you stood completely still like a statue and just waited for the ghost to come to you.
Right. And that happens how many times? I mean, how often? Never. You got to actually investigate.
Beg them. Plus, we parked in the most, like, look at me, I'm in a cemetery after hours spot. We parked right underneath.
Under the light.
The light.
I know. There's one light in this parking lot, and that's where I parked.
We're
right
We'll
there.
park right here, and we'll leave two of the most panicky people in the car.
They were so
They can
funny.
deal with the police when they show up.
Right, right.
So, to make a long story short, we didn't stay long, and we didn't feel like we accomplished much, but it did give us a chance to scope out the area and make a better plan for later investigations. I've always kind of looked at this cemetery as our field practice for all our other future investigations.
Well, I mean, I can say without a doubt, had that cemetery not happened the way that it did for us, I mean, I think that I probably would have still gone into these other places as a skeptic, but just I hope something happens. Mm-hmm. What happened to us here was pretty shocking,
Yeah, it set us down this road. Yeah. We are believers. Yeah, because on later investigations to the cemetery, we got photos of apparitions. The famous samurai ghost, of course.
Yeah.
We got videos of odd lights. We got tons of EVPs out of there. And we even had a few odd experiences.
Yeah.
One time I was there and I was with my mom, and the other cemetery that's right next to it, I thought my mom had grabbed my bag, the strap to my bag, and I turned around and I did like a full circle, and realized she's in front of me.
Right.
And there was nobody behind me.
You mentioned that on a previous podcast too, but just so that everyone understands, there are two side-by-side cemeteries, but to get to the other one, you have to kind of go around the curb a little bit. Mm-hmm. And the other one is like, there's no lights. There's no parking lot. It's pitch black. You walk down this long, narrow path and there's no lights. I mean, there's little lights, I guess, where people had put solar-powered lights at the cemetery, like grave markers. But otherwise, the Bethel Cemetery, there's a parking lot. There's a big light over it. The other one is dark. Very, very, very dark.
Yeah, it was like the first time we ever went in there, I thought it was really creepy.
Oh, me too.
So it's pretty impressive. And every time that we visited the location, both those cemeteries, we came home with more and more evidence to review. And I feel like, we just got better and better at analyzing data. So these two cemeteries were kind of like our paranormal schoolhouse in a sense.
Yeah, fun ones too. Both of those cemeteries were amazing. We had an amazing time there. And I remember, honestly, like you said, I remember it like it was yesterday. And it probably because it was so monumental in my brain as that being, it was such an epic night. We got there, we left the two girls in the car who were freaking the fuck out. We marched into the graveyard like we were these big badass ghost hunters. Wendy had her camera. We're crunching through the snow and I'm doing some stupid blabbering about how we're ghost hunting this cemetery because, Chris loves to talk. We just had fun. But on the nights ever since we had gone there, we did try and take it more seriously, we did try to actually investigate. And man, the stuff that we would come home with was just blowing our minds. And even that one time we went to the cemetery that was right around the corner, and we went with Allison and Kristen one night. Do you remember? And Allison was getting freaked the fuck out. Like, I think, wasn't there a point when she was almost in tears? Like something was really affecting her in there.
I remember at the back of the cemetery. Yeah.
Yeah.
She didn't feel right. And then I remember Kristen, like I had a tri-film meter and she noted that she thought something was around her. She was cold or something like that. And then, hits on the tri-film meter just around her as she's saying that she's having a cold spot. They were like good little trigger items.
They were. And probably because like the spirits there were kind of used to our dumb shit. They're like, oh, it's these two again. Damn, they come so often. Yes, we know who you are. Yes, we know you want to communicate. Come on, whatever. So then, Allison and Kristen hadn't been there before, and they were really picking up some very strange paranormal activity. Well, they were our trigger items, like Wendy said, because it seemed to be sparking the activity. But the samurai ghost was a favorite picture of ours, and I had a stupid camera that doesn't work. It hasn't worked probably since we started investigating that cemetery. I don't really know what happened to it, but the lens doesn't work anymore. I kept it in kind of like the paranormal archive museum of faulty equipment, But you had to keep the camera because that was the one that caught the picture. It was amazing,
That's what led us to start the website. We just wanted to go out and investigate, but we got this missed apparition of something and we're like, everyone must see this.
Right.
Like, oh my God, how do you start a website? And we did that. Do you remember hearing the children laughing? Like with our own ears?
Yeah, it was so creepy. Oh my God, I got like chill bumps just while you mentioned that.
I don't remember really ever getting EVPs of kids or anything like that. We got voices randomly all the time, but we had just kind of gotten there, made our way to the back of the cemetery.
Yeah.
And we're back there and we're just like, okay, get your stuff out. We're ready to go. And then it was like, hee 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 hee. And it's like, what the fuck? It's 1:00 in the morning. Somebody got their kids out playing?
No, there was no people. There were no kids. And I remember that because we froze. We were both like, what in the fuck is that? What is happening right now? Again, that's one of those monumental things that it happens to you and it sticks with you for so long.
Yeah.
You remember it like it was yesterday.
That was creepy, but it was so cool.
Wow.
But
that's fun. Good times.
Yeah. As special as that location is to both of us, and we just talked about it for like 20 minutes. It's actually not what my story is on this week. Though I did do a location that we've been to. I mean, I kind of had to with the anniversary and all.
Yeah. Wow.
My story this week is on another very special location for the two of us. It is the location of the first time you and I ever slept together. Or maybe better explained as the first location we ever attempted to sleep at after investigating.
Ah, yes. Wow. What a story you have lined up for us. Oh my goodness. This is such a good place.
The Magnolia Manor is a classic 2-story Georgian colonial built by Judge Austin Miller in 1849. It features 14-foot ceilings, double parlors, 4 bedrooms in the main house, and 9 fireplaces.
I don't remember saying all 9.
Well, because we also didn't get to see the other parlor and a bedroom that's on the first floor and the kitchen and all that, because that was the owner's private quarters. So we kind of missed out on all that. But there was a fireplace in every bedroom, though.
I bet you, had we befriended somebody, we probably could have seen those rooms.
We could have played that better if we weren't scared of people. So its claim to fame is that it was used as headquarters for the Union Army by Generals Logan, McPherson, Sherman, and Grant during the Civil War, and it is believed to be the home in which these 4 generals planned the Battle of Vicksburg and Shiloh.
Oh, wow.
Now, for anyone that goes to try to look up this location, there are lots of Magnolia Manors across the country.
Yep.
Illinois, California, Texas, Georgia, North Carolina, Mississippi, and Alabama all have their very own Magnolia Manor. And that's just to name a few from a short Google search.
Wow. I mean, it has a nice flow to it, Magnolia Manor,
They're beautiful trees, for one thing. Like my favorite. The flowers are gorgeous, and they're the best for climbing.
Climbing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're weak. The branches break off really easy, so you got to be careful about that.
Yeah. But when you're little, it's like you're fine. I wouldn't go climbing one now.
No.
The Magnolia Manor I am referring to is in the bustling small town of Bolivar.
Yep.
Many of you will be like, what's a Bolivar? As there are people from Tennessee that have never heard of it before.
Yeah.
So here's a tiny history lesson on the town. Back in the long, long time ago, the Chickasaw Indians were settled along the Hatchie River and farmed and hunted within the area. Hatchietown was later developed as white settlers transporting goods began using the river as a stopping point. This went on from 1818 until October 18, 1825, when the permanent site for Bolivar was established. Near Bolivar, Dunlap Springs Resort was built and became a popular destination for people all over West Tennessee and Northeast Mississippi. Visitors of this fine establishment could stay for only $7 a week to partake in the magical mineral springs to cure whatever ails them.
Yeah.
Given the attention they received from the resort, Bolivar became well established in the 1850s. Turn my page. There were two hotels, the Bolivar Hotel, boasting itself as the tallest building between Memphis and Nashville, and the Union Hall Hotel that was converted from an old Oddfellows meeting hall.
What? I didn't realize that.
I did not either. I bet they found some cool stuff during that remodel.
Yeah, I bet they did.
They were like, what's these bones for? That's weird.
Strange.
Then there was a boarding house for young women attending the Female Institute. I wonder what they were learning in the 1850s. Then merchants, mechanic shops, law office, a dentist, and a barber were all in the business section. The main interest was the railroad that came through in 1856. The Mississippi Central Railroad completed tracks to Jackson, Tennessee in 1858. It was consolidated with the Great Northern Connection in 1877 and is now the Illinois Central.
Nice. All right.
The railroad created jobs and was a new means of getting products to the market. In 1860, the census for Bolivar showed 466 citizens. There were 136 males over 20 years of age and 108 under 20 years of age. Most of these potential soldiers would soon find themselves marching away to war. From 1862 until May 1864, Bolivar was under military law by Union forces. No battles were fought here in the town, but several skirmishes did take place within the area. Thousands of soldiers camped within town, hospitals were set up in local churches, and the male academy was used as a prison.
Oh.
One soldier, Lieutenant J.F. Thayer, from the Wisconsin Company, I'm going to assume when they have an E just by itself, they mean East. I don't really know how to read these things, but it's East 12th Regiment.
Okay.
He rode home to his family in Vermont after the Battle of the Hatchie, and I quote, "After marching all night at a quick pace, we arrived on the battlefield the next morning at 8 o'clock, just in time to witness the burying of the dead and the gathering of the wounded. The heads, legs, arms, and shattered fragments of the dead and the living lay scattered profusely on the ground in all directions."
That's grim.
Yes, but it's so kind of like poetically beautiful. And that's why I wanted to share it with you.
Yeah.
It's dark, though.
Yeah.
Ambulances and nurses, surgeons and hospital stewards were busy attending to the wants of the suffering, yet the groans of the dying and the shrieks of the wounded could not wholly be suppressed by the kindest care. Yet many a patriot's suffering was ended on that eventful day, which was plainly evident by the newly raised mounds in every direction.
Oh my God.
The Battle of the Hatchie, although not so murderous and extensive as others, should not be passed unnoticed in the historical records of this rebellion.
Yeah.
Kind of a dark thing to share with your family, though. So... He went on to say that the Union Army had taken some 400 prisoners and marched them back to Bolivar to be held. The people of Bolivar showered the prisoners with a warm welcome and offered to care for any wounded. However, they showed no sympathy for the Union troops returning for battle. Lieutenant Thayer went on to say, and I quote, "We may conquer them, we may whip them, we may exterminate them, but we never can make them love us. They are a desperate and determined race, like ourselves. Their ancestors are our ancestors. Their fathers are our fathers. Our grandfathers fought side by side in the Revolution and gained the glorious independence and established the unsurpassed and unparalleled government that party, prejudice, and party influence has been trying for the last 30 years to break down and destroy. The crisis is upon us. We cannot even the storm that darkens in the south and is bursting forth in volcanic appeal from the deadly mouthed cannon of the determined foe. He finishes his letter with, so we all stand amazed at the horrid sacrifice of America's noblest sons and are shocked at the torrent tide of crimson gore that has so freely flown from the veins of our fellow beings. This dude was a fucking poet.
Yeah, no kidding. He did a good job. That was very nice. I mean, it was dark, but also.
I kind of dig it, though. I like your style, man. Sadly, Lieutenant Thayer died October 7th, 1864, from injuries received during a battle. Many that knew him stated Lieutenant Thayer's worthy character not only deserved, but won and held the highest esteem of the men of his company.
Yeah.
So this once picturesque town was now a fortified supply hub for the Union advance. The importance to Bolivar to Grant's advancement in western Tennessee and north Mississippi made the town a prime target, as numerous Confederate forces attempted to destroy the railroad network to slow down Union forces. Every foot of the railroad had to be visually watched to prevent it from being destroyed. Because of Bolivar's important positioning, it was common for federal generals to set up headquarters in many of the town's stately mansions.
Ooh.
They're not going to sleep in no damn tent.
Yeah, that's true.
The owners of these homes had to accommodate and feed these leaders of the opposing army as if they were best friends.
That's kind of fucked up.
It is. The people of the town, they were Confederates.
Yeah.
So they obviously don't have great feelings with these people, but they have to dine with them and everything.
Wow, that's got to be crazy emotional. I mean, seriously, sitting across the table from your enemy, right?
Yeah.
Who's cooked a meal for you. Do you trust them enough to eat the meal that's been put in front of you? I wouldn't.
Yes, it is odd, I would assume. And I also think that you probably see these people as normal people. And you're like, hey, actually, they're not that bad. They're kind of funny, or something.
They have funny stories.
It's weird that I like them and they're just a regular person and we just disagree on this one thing. I don't have to hate them and want to kill them. What a novel idea.
Silly. Let's move forward with that one.
But having this live-in relationship with the locals is probably what saved many of those fine homes from destruction during the war. The Magnolia Manor being among one of those preserved throughout the time of war.
Wendy, if you could name your house, what would you go with?
Ooh, out here in the desert. Dusty Bones. We're not the best homeowners. I mean, our house looks fine, definitely out front. You wouldn't know too much about our lack of handy skills. But if you saw our backyard and the patio falling apart and the weeds that we let grow up, it's not going to have a really romantic name, because as much as I'm comfy in my house, that's just all it is my little comfy shell. What would you name your house?
Shit. I don't know. Let's see. It is actually kind of quaint. I have the very tall trees behind me, and I can go out on my swing in the summer and in the fall and have some kind of relaxation back there. So it can be peaceful. I guess I'm comfy here too. So maybe my comfy place.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I would go with. It's just interesting to me that a place like this was Magnolia Manor, and most likely because of the magnolia trees.
Yes. When we were there, they were talking about how old one of them were, right next to the house, and its branches were on the ground. It was so big.
Yeah.
But the rest of the town of Bolivar, it wasn't as lucky as Magnolia Manor or the few other plantations that survived through the Civil War because the generals were, living there.
Yeah.
In May of 1864, this is towards the end, General Sturgis came with his 12,000 soldiers and decided to make the town useless to any army. He burned the entire business section, including the Baptist and Methodist churches and the courthouse.
Wow. Damn.
During the year 18 1865, with the war over, progress was made rebuilding the town. Gradually, the 1870s ushered in progress. Population of the town grew to 1,200 people.
All right.
Despite Bolivar being considered a small town today, over the years that followed the Civil War, the town did grow and prosper. There were some issues with fires in the late 1800s due to the lack of emergency response services being located within town, but they finally got that worked out. They had like 3 big fires and it just kept happening.
Oh, shit.
And it's like, maybe y'all should put a firehouse nearby.
Yeah. They're like, the buckets of water on the porches aren't really doing the trick.
They seriously were doing that.
I know.
Yeah. And they were like, this sucks.
Yeah, they did that here too in Boston. That's, anyways.
How that whole city burned down one time.
That's right. Exactly. You know the rest.
It's not a good idea, but depression and both world wars weren't great for anyone, but the town did continue to open more businesses and create more jobs and bring more people to the area, even throughout those times. In 1969, Bolivar even grew in size with the annex of an area northwest of town, which then made the Western State Psychiatric Hospital within their city limits.
I wonder what that looks like.
It's a beautiful building. It really is the original. And then they have a newer building next to it that's still kind of quaint because newer means like not that much newer. You know, it's not like
1980s or something like that.
Yeah. But the original building is gorgeous. Bolivar now has around 5,000 people living within town. As for Magnolia Manor, 3 generations of the Miller family lived in the house until the 1970s. Charles Austin Miller, son of Judge Austin Miller, followed in his father's footsteps and became a prominent attorney and later the Secretary of the state of Tennessee. One of C.A. Miller's daughters, Lizzie Lee Miller, was one of the first female representatives of the Tennessee state legislation and the second woman ever elected to the Tennessee General Assembly.
Way to go, Lizzie.
Rockin' it. And it is believed that most of the hauntings within the home are associated with the Miller family, given the decades that they spent there. Now, the home was sold to Elaine Cox Gaddy in the 80s, and shortly after, in 1985, she opened it as a bed and breakfast. Guests had the choice of the C.A. Miller Master Suite, Annie's room, and the 1849 room. And then there's the cottage in the back of the house. After the doors opened to the public, that's when the reports of ghost and mysterious events began to be passed around.
I just want to say that it is a shock. I don't even know if I knew this back then, and I forgot it because it's shocking to hear that. This has been a bed and breakfast since 1985.
I know, and she's owned it the whole time.
Wild. The house is huge, too, for one person to just be running it like that.
Right. That's probably why immediately she's like, I don't need all this shit.
It's cool. I mean, it's great that I have it, but damn.
It's like in your last podcast of Jamie's house, and she had the 4 bedrooms. She's 21 years old. She doesn't have kids yet or nothing. So she's like, I don't need that fucking second floor.
Close it off. Put the old shit
But
up.
she should have B&B'd it out.
Oh my God, it'd probably still be there. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, we would have been renting it out and investigating it.
Damn, yeah. Wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
The following represents some of the haunting experiences that many have reported while staying at the Magnolia Manor over all those years.
Wait, it's haunted?
What? We just went there to cozy up together. No. An apparition of an elderly female wearing an apron over an old-fashioned dress with a hoop skirt has been seen throughout the home. It is believed the female ghost may be one of the members of the Miller family, such as Annie Miller, who passed away peacefully in the home at the age of 84. There is also another female ghost who wears a Victorian-style dress and is said to be very beautiful. This ghost has been rumored to pull back the covers of the bedding of guests. Once the guests see the apparition, it often disappears suddenly. She's probably embarrassed that she got caught trying to take a sneak peek of you in your PJs.
I know. She's like, who's there? Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Oof.
Oh, I saw you wear nothing to bed.
That's why she's doing it. She's a creeper.
Yeah. So, but no, seriously, I have to share this with you. Before you and I ever visited the location, and I probably told you this before, so I guess I'm telling everybody else. Before Chris and I ever visited this location, I had been there before with my other half. Now, something you have to understand about him is he's not a non-believer nor a believer. He has no opinion either way.
Yeah.
Also, over the last 16 years I've lived with this person, he has probably shared 5 dreams with me that he could recall. He claims he doesn't dream. So, the night that we stayed at the Magnolia Manor, we stayed in the C.A. Miller suite. And the following morning, as I was getting dressed for breakfast, he says, I had a dream last night that I was being pulled out of the bed by my feet.
What?
Yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck did you just say to me? And he's like, I woke up and I half expected to be hanging out of the bed, but I wasn't. And then I just went back to sleep. You know, instead of waking the fucking paranormal investigator sleeping next to him, who had been trying to investigate the location before we went to bed.
That's insane. That's an insane dream to have, and how it like corroborates like some of the things that people have experienced there.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it was fucking odd. I couldn't even remember if I had actually shared all the stories with him because like I said,
wow,
he doesn't have much of an opinion on it. So I'm not going to be like, they say this happens and blah, blah, blah. Because he'd be like, yeah. Can we go to bed? You know?
That's great. That's great. I'm tired. Good night.
So, was it paranormal? I don't know. Like Krista said, it matches with stories that I've read online and that we've heard. Many people believe this spirit is Priscilla McNeil, a wealthy cousin of the Millers who died at the age of 18 and whose portrait hangs in the room next to that one in the 1849 room.
That's an interesting room.
Some people seem to think that portrait, I don't know why they think this, that was painted post-mortem, you know, because those Victorian people loved that kind of shit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I do. But that's interesting, too. I don't remember any of that.
I never read that before, but I saw it in multiple places as I was re-researching this story for the podcast.
I feel like we would have studied that picture a lot more had we known it, you know? We'd have been like taking selfies and shit with it. You know?
It was a very captivating painting. I have it just to refresh your memory.
All right, let's see. Oh, yeah. So then basically, if it's post-mortem, they had to paint her eyes open.
Yeah, that's why I kind of doubt that story, because her eyes are really, I don't know, maybe it was a really good artist or whatever.
Yeah, the artist did a good job. I mean, like, you could almost see, like, her hair has wave to it, you know? Like, he was very detailed.
Mm-hmm.
They are dark. There are some dark circles around her eyes, too.
Yes, there is that, and maybe that's what gave people the impression that it was post-mortem, because why would they do that? Why would they give her such dark eyes? Maybe it was a symbolism to the painting to represent when it was done.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just saw it a few places and couldn't find much more about it. But they believe that she haunts the manor even though she's never lived there or anything like that. She visited it when family was there and that's it.
Yeah. Well, we got a great EVP in that room too. I mean, I'll never forget that moment. Listen to me. I can't even remember what I did half this day. But here, I totally remember what we did 10 years ago. I guess, again, the word monumental is the only thing that comes to mind. But when something like happens, you're asking for something to communicate with you. And it just like, there it is. And it happens. I mean, you're stunned for life. It never leaves you.
Yeah.
So we were in the room. We were doing an EVP session. And I turned to walk away from Wendy. And I had a recorder in my hand. And I had earbuds on because I was listening to the sounds in the room. Right. You know, I don't know for any of you that are listening that haven't tried this before, but it amplifies all of the noises when you plug into the recorder. And I might be sounding like an old person here by saying that, oh, you young fellas out there ghosting, you know, this is some unique trick that you can try. You might already know about it. I love this. But what happened was I took the headphones off and was turning the recorder off, and a voice came out of my recorder. It was a woman's voice. Do you remember that? Because I was like, and the recorder like vibrated, like I had gotten shocked. I was like, what the fuck was that? What just happened? And us two heard it both. It's like, wow, did that just happen? So when you sent me the picture of this woman, like it's wild to think that maybe it was her voice.
Yeah.
If she's the one that's known to be like haunting that area. I don't know. That's cool.
It's definitely a female voice. We have it on our YouTube channel. And so at the time that it happened, we were like packing up to go, like you said.
Right.
And you said, what time is it? Is it Sunday yet?
Yeah.
And I'm like going to check what time it is. And then you just all of a sudden freak out. And you were like, what did you say? And I was like,
yes,
I did not say anything. I didn't have the answer yet. So at the time, I have a question about that. And I don't know if you would remember it this detailed. So at the time, I thought you told me that I just heard a voice in this recorder. And it said, yeah. yeah, it's like answering the question. Yeah, it's Sunday.
Yeah, right.
But then when I looked on YouTube, our EVP that you got when that happened, it's labeled rubbish.
Really?
Yeah.
Rubbish. Okay.
And if you listen to it, I'm like, yeah, it does sound
like
saying that.
Yeah.
But I mean, like when you're hearing things in the moment, you may be like, what did you just say? So I don't know if you just heard yeah because we were looking for a response. And then when later review, that's not exactly what she said. But it's definitely a female voice.
So yeah, 100%. That's where I was going to go with it. While I was remembering it, I thought it was a response, but I couldn't actually remember what it was. And I remember when I went back that it wasn't the same thing. But when I heard it, I guess I probably just heard the S part of the word and thought she said yes. And when I went back to review it and it says rubbish, and it's such a period word to say, nobody goes around, oh, well, that's rubbish. We could say it. We could bring it back today if we wanted to. But you know what I'm saying? It was from a different time period that people would say that sort of thing. Then maybe I heard just the yes. I don't know.
Well, like I said, I think it's because you're like, I heard a voice. I just asked a question. I thought you were saying yes to me. Yeah. Like maybe even you thought I said yes. And that's why you interpreted and heard it that way. That's that whole thing about when we put EVPs out there for people to listen to and we tell them what it's saying, now it's stuck in their head too. So you were looking for an answer. You think it's yes. So you think that that's what the voice said too. And then when you get your headphones on and you're really zoning in and you're taken out of the situation, you can hear it for what it really is, I guess.
Right.
So it was an amazing moment because your reaction was the best. And that you heard it like so loudly, and then how shocked you were about it vibrating. It was really, really cool. Yeah. And then, I don't know. I don't know if it was Priscilla or not, but that people say that she haunts the house and it's all because of this painting that's there. Huh. So there is another female spirit who apparently enjoys sitting and rocking in a rocking chair that's located in the C.A. Miller suite. And they say that it happens in the wee hours of the morning, but it's unclear whether this spirit is a completely different spirit or if it's the elderly female. A lot of people will say that it's the elderly lady and she just has a different look. And then some other people want to say that it's a totally different spirit.
Okay. Well, it sounds like there's a couple ladies in fancy dresses roaming around through there. So
right. I think it's fun that people can see their dresses so well that they can kind of depict what period they're from then.
Right.
That's helpful.
It's very helpful. Thank you, people.
Thank you, ghosts.
No, it's true. I love the hoop skirt lady. I think that was my favorite so far.
Yeah. So there's also a story of a white cat that roams the house.
No way.
Yeah, and I don't remember this story, and I can't believe that we didn't encounter it because ghost cats love you.
I know. We always run into them. Every time we go somewhere, what is rubbing against my leg? Nothing. Interesting. Well, that was weird.
They believe it belongs to one of the female spirits, and that's because in the Polk Cemetery, where the Miller family plot is, a cat is buried there.
No shit.
Shut up. The only animal buried in the cemetery.
We have to go back. Wow, I didn't know that. We went all over that cemetery.
Yeah.
How did we miss it? It must not be like a huge cat statue or something.
No, I think it must be very modest, and we just totally missed it.
I'm going to have to go back through all of my pictures now. Because, before when you're going through your pictures, you're just looking for mists, dark, shadowy people.
You're not reading the stones.
Right.
And there are apparitions seen of soldiers roaming the grounds of the old manor.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So now that you've met the cast of this ghostly performance, here's the list of what they can do. Employees and guests of the bed and breakfast have reported the feeling of being touched when no one is present. Noises such as voices and laughter can often be heard throughout the house. Cold breezes are felt with no explanation as to where they came from. Footsteps have been heard down empty hallways. Doors have opened and closed by themselves. And here's a fun one. Antique dolls have been reported moving and changing positions.
That is fun. Also, fucking creepy.
Also, why we would never stay in the 1849 room.
No, I don't like that. I do not like that at all. That is just like horror movie all over it to me.
Could you imagine? We would have watched those bitches all night.
I know. Like I'm falling asleep. Wendy, it's your turn. It's your turn to stand guard. To watch these dolls.
So the Tennessee ghost hunters from Nashville, they were the first to investigate the Magnolia Manor. And the Memphis Mid-South ghost hunters have also spent countless nights investigating the location and hosting events there. Both have presented the Magnolia Manor with certificates stating the location is a certified haunted house.
Wait, you can do that?
Yeah, I mean, you just print them up, I'm sure. You make all our marketing stuff. You could do it.
I'm doing it.
We just start passing them out.
Oh my goodness. No, seriously, I just think it's funny that, again, going to the expert ghost hunter talk, that now we have these groups, which, and I'm not trying to pass any judgment. I don't know them. They probably are like amazing people and awesome ghost hunters. But this official seal of like, what is it that the governor hands out? They get the key to the city, that Batman style epic. This place is certified haunted. It's just weird, kind of, right?
Well, I should note that they probably investigated early 2000s. We were there in 2011. And so I think this was a thing for a while for a lot of locations and places. I checked out the Memphis Mid-South Ghost Hunters are still active. They seem to have a totally different vibe now. They've changed with the times. Yeah. They're in the 2020s. I'm sure they're not passing out certificates anymore. But
okay.
I seem to remember, we saw this a couple of places. This was a silly little thing for a while, but not so much anymore.
I'm fine with going anywhere that tells me that they are certified gluten-free.
Oh, there
yes.
you go.
That I'm totally on board with. Sure. So I could see how that would have been a draw for us too back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh, you're certified ghost.
Got it.
Let's go.
Anyways, on the Memphis Mid-South Ghost Hunters website, you can find a couple of interesting EVPs. One is of a female spirit taken during an investigator's training workshop in the parlor of the C.A. Miller room. Everyone who was present audibly heard a voice say, "Will you talk to me?" So They got it on recording, and then they all heard it in like real time.
Nice.
Also, one of the participants claimed that they felt somebody touch them on the arm, like soon after this EVP.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's a whole lot of fun experiences right there. I love it.
Well, it's cool that the spirits were like, I want to talk to you. And even so much of like, hey man, poking somebody in the arm.
Poking,
like,
yeah. I'm right here. Turn around.
Yes. Talk to me.
Facing the wrong way.
Then they got a male child's voice during an afternoon investigation. As the investigators climbed the stairs leading to the second floor of the house, the spirit voice seems to say, "I'm up here." I listened to it. I don't know if they were dubbing it like twice or if it said something twice, because I hear a voice on there twice.
They didn't explain it?
It wasn't clear in their description. They did say that they didn't find this until after they reviewed evidence. It wasn't in real time, and that there were no children there at the time.
And this was a male's voice or a female's voice?
They said a male child's voice. If you ask me, you should just categorize things as children's voices.
Okay.
I have a deep voice for a lady, so.
But didn't you also catch a male's voice on the stairs? Don't we have an EVP as well?
We definitely have male voices, which, with all these female hauntings, like the female ghost this, female ghost that, there are men there. Not even just children. Yeah. There are men. We were in Annie's room investigating. We had done all the normal stuff. We, video and photo, recorders, we're trying it all. We even played some music because we saw that somewhere else. Play some period type music and then stop it and see if anything happens.
Yeah.
We got a lot of random EVPs, but none of them like directly being like, I like that, man. Keep playing that. Or answering our questions or nothing. They seem to not even really want to talk to us. And then we get a male's voice that said, avoid them. What the fuck why does nobody like us?
Yeah, right. Why did we come off so harsh to these spirits where they're just like rubbish? Avoid them. Like, what the hell, guys? Seriously.
I don't know. But, so there was another paranormal group that I found had used to do events there and investigated a lot there. This one was mentioned while we were there by the owner's son, Greg Rivers. He was a big fan of theirs or friends with them or something. It's Paranormal Inc. They had did a documentary of Ghost of War, and so they had been at Magnolia Manor a lot. I did not watch this Ghost of War stuff. Nope. Instead, my scatterbrained self, finds on their website that they've been to the Bethel Cemetery.
I was just going to say, I thought that they went to the Bethel Cemetery too, but you just said it. That's so funny.
No, I was like, oh, well, I want to read all about this.
Uh-huh.
You don't find paranormal evidence on the Bethel Cemetery. You might hear the legends all over the internet or whatever, but you don't find too many groups that have necessarily been there and posted. You know? But on paranormalinc.com, if you go under Bethel Cemetery, you can see a video of an odd light that they got. Now, we got an odd light in front of a headstone, but it was like kind of stationary. Theirs is actually in motion, so that was kind of cool. So if you want to check that out. Anyways, that was my, scatterbrain sidetrack there. So back to the haunted B&B, the Magnolia Manor, has been featured on more than a few TV shows. And the family who manages the B&B have been interviewed numerous times. Greg Rivers, the owner's son, he didn't tell us much when we were there. We did see him. He was there that night. We made small talk with him. He didn't share much of his experiences, but he has in the media.
Yeah.
He states he most often hears footsteps in the hallways, like when nobody's there, and that he once, or actually a few times, has heard the sounds of objects being moved around while he is sleeping in that 1849 room. It's those fucking dolls. I know it.
Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
So Tom, Elaine's husband, he has reported that he often saw an apparition move from the downstairs den to their bedroom on the first floor. Elaine has also seen the apparition.
Did Tom also go into detail about his favorite photo in the whole wide world? Because he couldn't stop talking to us about it while we were there.
No, I don't even remember that. So tell me.
No?
No.
You don't remember? They took a picture of the garage outside, and there is a face in the garage in the window. Right. And so, of course, like both of us are looking at that and we're like, yeah, it's dark and it's a reflective surface. It looks like a face. But there are these other things. But dude was so intrigued. And he also had the one in the mirror. There was like a mirror or something downstairs. And he's like, okay, look at this one. And neither of us could see it. We're like, okay, Tom.
I now do remember him bringing photos out.
Yeah.
I think it was during while we were having like the cocktail hour, or maybe that was breakfast, but I think it was the cocktail hour.
He brought him out twice. So both times, you're right. He brought him out at cocktail hour and at breakfast because he's like,
he forgot.
Yeah. Did I show you this picture? And I was like, oh, Tom, yes, we saw this. You're such a sweet guy. Let's hear the story again.
Yeah, so those weren't great, but then they claim that they have all of these amazing experiences that guests have reported to them, and they've even had a few couples refuse to spend the night there. Like, they leave in the middle of the night due to the experiences or like the feelings that they're having.
Wow.
Yeah. Several guests have told Tom and Elaine that they were waking from their sleep and they just will see a woman standing by their bed.
Yeah, I mean, that's enough to creep you out because, look, it doesn't have to be a ghost. It can be an intruder. I mean, what do you get out of my room? And she's just like lingering there. Maybe she's trying to peek underneath the covers.
Yeah.
No, go away. I don't want to have anything to do with this.
It is odd and creepy, period. You know, when your kids used to come to the bed and they just stand there. They wouldn't be like mom or try to poke you or nothing. They just stand all creepy by your bed.
Right. You wake up and you see them leering over you.
And you're like, what? What do you want?
What?
I hope you're actually my child.
Not a demon.
Yeah, it is so creepy just for them to be chilling there, watching you sleep. I started to think, what if they're jealous? Because, like, ghosts don't sleep, right?
I would be.
Yeah. Or they're bored. Like how your cat, when it's awake in the middle of the night and you're sleeping, and they're like, well, I'm awake, so they should be too.
Yeah, my cat, she'll go and scream outside of my door. She's like, everyone's asleep. And I'm awake, so everyone else should be awake.
Mine too, yeah, all the time.
Wendy, ghosts are like cats.
100%.
You got it.
Just putting that theory out there, everyone.
It makes so much sense now. We've cracked the code.
So if you want to catch a ghost, it's the same as catching a cat, which is pretty impossible. So
just shake something that makes a lot of noise. Get their attention.
Wiggle your feet underneath the covers.
This is our new ghost hunting technique. We're like,
we went from the speak and spell and the leapfrog table to now we have cat toys.
Oh, is that sage? No, it's catnip.
We're on to something here, I swear.
Just wait. Just hang in there with us.
So then there is the cottage.
Oh.
This is where Chris and I stayed. So they say in the cottage, Adeline, a former cook at the Magnolia Manor, is said to have been seen here. And actually, the owner's son, Greg, he told media, the news, well, whoever who would listen, I don't know, that psychics had picked out the name Adeline even before Elaine and Tom knew that she existed, which they found her name within documents about the house.
Wow.
So, like we said before, we've been here before.
Yeah, we stayed. We slept, well, not really well, but in the cottage is where we hunkered down for the evening.
We did. So here is the timeline of events and our investigation for the Magnolia Manor. We arrived. We noticed we were the only people on the guest book for the night.
Yep.
We were super psyched about that. Around cocktail hour, as we're talking to Elaine and Tom and getting all the stories and looking at their photos, a young couple burst through the doors.
Yep.
We're like, damn.
Damn it.
Luckily for us, they like staying there for ghosts, not for like peace and quiet or anything like that. So we got along fine. So during the cocktail hour, that's when we got a chance to talk to Elaine and Tom, like we said. And we asked Elaine a lot of questions, and she told us that she was unaware of any reason why spirits would remain in the house. She wasn't aware of any traumatic experience that had happened there. She just knew of the previous owners and then the history of the Civil War.
Yeah.
Though we did note that all the furnishings in the home, the whole house, were period pieces that she had acquired during auctions and estate sales and whatnot. It wasn't original pieces by the Millers. So Lord knows what she brought in with that furniture.
I remember that very clearly because we thought a lot of this was probably due to all of the shit that she found in her antique shopping.
She had a lot of cool shit in there, and it would explain, you know, the other male voices that you're hearing, like, okay, maybe that is Anna Miller, this is her house, but these other people that are here, these kids and whatnot, what's that?
But there are a lot of very beautiful pieces of antique furniture throughout this entire house. And I mean, these are like gorgeous pieces that I could see why somebody would have an attachment to it. You know, it's like, hell yeah, that armoire. That's fucking impressive, dude. I mean, I don't think I'd want to let go of that, you know? So it made sense at the time.
But she says that she's never had a negative experience in the home.
Yeah.
And when she sees the spirits, it's just as if they're watching her. And that's it.
Yeah. Isn't this at the time, too, when we found out that she was a nurse or she had a friend that was a nurse at the hospital?
Oh, the psychiatric hospital.
Yeah.
Oh.
Didn't she say that she used to be a nurse there? Or do you remember any of that?
Don't remember any of that.
Yeah, because we were just like chatting and we mentioned, you know, that we passed by this, you know, because we're both nerds and we love old abandoned places. So it was breathtaking to us to see this old building there, and we were wanting to know more information about it. And I swear to God that she said that either she was a nurse there at one point in time or she had a friend that was a nurse there at one point in time. And we were just like, mic drop. What else do you got?
Tell us everything.
Right? And I mean, she didn't give us any like gory details that I recall, but yeah, she loved, I think, that we were bringing up something from her past and she could relate to. But again, like I said, she didn't give us any juicy details.
No, it is cool though that she had that connection, and that building is beautiful. Yeah, obviously you're not supposed to go in it. When Chris and I stopped by, we saw an open window. We thought really hard about it, but Chris is accident prone and we don't like cops. And so
this is so true. You know, it's definitely not Waverly where they are cleaning it up so that it's safe for you to roam through the halls of this abandoned location. So it's definitely not a good idea for you to poke your head in and actually get into this building without someone going through it first and saying, you can breathe here. It's good. You know?
Well, we looked in the window and it looked like a storage closet. You know, there was a million things in this one room. And so it was like, if we go down in this window, now we're also having to like maneuver through this shit. What is the rest of the building going to look like?
Right.
And what happens when we hear woo, woo, woo? You know, it's like
try our Southern Girl charm, and we're just a couple of mothers who we just fell into this building. We saw a rabbit. We were just following it. I mean, what do you tell them? Sorry, officer.
I like that one though. Pay
no mind to all of the cameras and recorders.
You're going down for a drug test.
Did this rabbit talk to you too? No.
But so yeah, then we go and get something to eat, and we come back and we're going to start our investigation, right? So we start off in the Austin Miller room, the big one with the parlor to it and everything. And about 45 minutes passed, and like it seems like nothing is fucking happening.
Yeah, it's quiet.
Then all of a sudden, I see a shadow move outside the bedroom door. The door
Yes!
was like cracked and the
Right.
hall light was on, but we had the bedroom light off. We're the only people on this floor. The couple, they'd gone for something to eat. They hadn't come back. So I'm like, I just saw a fucking shadow in the hallway.
Yeah.
So we go out there to see what's going on, and nope, it's not the couple coming back. There's nobody there.
Nobody's there. Yeah. But there's a shadow just like out in the hallway. Like you think it was the woman, like she's like, oh, maybe they're asleep. Let's go find out. She's like, shit, they're not asleep. And when he's like, I see a shadow, and she's like,
well, we got an EVP at the same time as well, though it's not audible, but it was like, justification that something really was there. We didn't find that until later when we reviewed evidence and everything.
Yeah.
But that made us feel a lot better.
Right.
And there is a video on our YouTube channel of you standing in the hallway, but it's just you checking out. Yeah, there's nobody here. There's
Right.
nothing else to it. So nothing else happened. And we went back to the room, but we just kind of grabbed our stuff because we're like, oh, well, all the shit's happening out in the hallway.
Right.
So we hang out there for a second, and then we moved on into Anna's room.
which is where Wendy said earlier where we played music.
Yeah. So this is where we do the whole thing in there.
Yeah.
And we got the male voice. We played the music. And I mean, at the time, we didn't feel like anything was going on. And then even when you review the evidence, it was like everybody in that room didn't really like us.
Yeah.
So-
They're like, stop with this music. You're waking me up or whatever. Who knows?
I guess we picked the wrong kind of music.
Yeah. They wanted rap and we brought on rock and roll. So it was the wrong genre altogether.
We're like playing classical, and they're like, this lame ass shit.
Putting us to sleep.
Now, I will note that on our YouTube channel, we have a couple of EVPs that are either saying Ann or Anna or Annie. One's even actually kind of cool because it comes in response after I'm like, I'm Wendy and you're Chris. And she's like, Anna. And it's like she was sitting in the circle with us and we were going around. And she's like, I'm Anna from Bolivar, Tennessee. You know, it's our self-help group. I don't know. That one was cool, but just random. And that's pretty much all that she said to us.
She just wanted you to know that she was there and we couldn't hear her.
So after we finish in Anna's room, that's when the couple had come back. And they were in the 1849 room. So we have a conversation with them. We're, getting to know them so that they will let us in their room. They tell us they've always stayed in this room, this 1849 room. And they've had several experiences in there, like closet doors that won't stay shut, dolls that move. Nope. Lamps that turn on by themselves, orbs that appear in pictures, and cold spots.
Yeah.
They believed that all the activity was due to the oil painting of the woman that hung in the room, which is believed to be Priscilla McNeil.
It's a very active room.
Yeah, it was. And the couple gave us a few moments to run an EVP session while they stepped outside.
Yeah.
But this is not when the big, moment happened for us. We do an EVP session. Like I said, we got some random EVPs. You can go to our YouTube channel on all of this and check it out. But they return and we're packing up our gear to get out of their way. And they notice that we have a Ouija board.
Boom. Look at that. How did that get there? It fell into the bag, guys. That's all. Just
Look,
fell in there.
We had no idea. Seriously, we had no idea that the owners had rules against Ouija boards. And we most of the time pack it just as a, hey, if we get fucking bored, we're going to break this out and see what happens.
Right.
The couple was way into the idea of using it. So we're like, sure, okay. So we break it out.
This was amazing.
We spent 45 minutes on this board. And though I do believe it's possible, it could have moved on its own. It was not giving us any clear information, though.
No, it wasn't. It was all over the place.
Yeah. It was like, well, this is not getting anywhere. There were weird things like my hands were really cold and all y'all's hands were warm. Then my hand was warm. All our hands were warm, but the gentleman, his hand was cold.
Right.
It was like there was a cold spot moving around within us. But other than that, that was the only thing I recall.
What about the tri-field meter?
Oh, was that happening when we were using the board?
Yes.
Couldn't remember if that was before or after.
Okay, so Wendy and I, we know each other well enough. We're not going to play pranks on each other. If the planchett's going to move, it's because it's moving from a spirit. We're not going to toy with each other by pushing this shit around. I mean, there's no sense in that.
No, we would just fucking tell each other we're going to fake this evidence if we wanted to. Like, we're not going to lie to each other. We're going to be
No.
in on the lie together. We don't do that, guys.
But there's these two other people that we've never met before. We met them, just that night. We don't know them from anybody else. And the planchette is moving very sporadically. And we don't know if it's her or him, what is actually happening here. Basically, what I'm trying to say is we don't trust anybody. I trust Wendy and Wendy trusts me. And that's pretty much it. And like if Wendy and I make something, like she said, we're going to wink at each other. I'm like, okay, we're going to go through with this. But there was none of that handshaking. And again, we're just kidding. We don't do that. But these people, they were our foreign objects being brought into our experiment. So we didn't really trust the situation fully. The planchette was moving erratically around the Ouija board, and we wanted to make sure that we could document this properly. So Wendy pulls out her tri-field meter. She's holding it, and she goes over the Ouija board. And like as soon as she gets there, the meter just goes ba-bam, 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 ba-bam. It's like berserking, motion back and forth, right? And she's like, okay, that was weird. And she pulled it back, and it's not doing anything. She goes over the Ouija board again, and I think it kind of goes up and it goes back down. Like it seemed like there was something there basically that the tri-field meter was trying to alert you to. And that's what we wanted. We wanted to make sure, because the girl that was there, she's like, I'm not pushing it.
Yeah.
But again, we're like, yeah, well, I mean, no offense, but
I don't know you.
We don't know you. Right. So, and when you pull the tri-field meter out and it's going crazy, I mean, it gives a little bit more of like a, wow, what the hell is really going on here?
Yes.
So it was so sporadic. The letters, like Wendy said, it didn't really spell out anything to us. Maybe it was rubbish. Who knows?
I mean, yes, it could be something that we're just not aware. And we never documented exactly like what letters it was putting down. Nobody was taking that note. And then for some reason, I don't know. I can't find a video of it. I mean, I record everything all the time.
You do.
I don't know how I got that. But yes, we have photos on our website of the tri-field meter. And we did that whole Ouija board thing. And then afterwards, we were obsessed with it for so long because it had kept going off like very randomly. And then when it's just laying on the bed, I'm putting my hand in front of it and it goes off. You put your hand in front of it, it doesn't go off.
Nope.
I put my hand in front of it and goes off. And it's like, what's going on here?
Oh,
am I dead?
It might have been attached to you at the moment. Remember, like you said, we had these cold spots and like our hands were cold at some point. Your hand was hot, which is, by the way, guys, extremely odd. Wendy's usually cold, right?
All the time.
So, I mean, yeah, she's usually the one bundled up in like 90 sweaters when I'm like, whoo, I'm hot. It's toasty. It's weird for that situation to be happening, but maybe something had attached to you at the moment, and that's why it was going off when you were doing it.
That was definitely an odd experience. Unfortunately, we don't have like a long video of that or anything to show you.
I don't think you videoed any of that because when they allowed us like time in their room, we just like went in with everything and just put out what we could like right away. We didn't know how much time they were going to give us. I mean, it was their room.
We didn't want to be intruding, so we weren't like setting up shop for the whole night or anything like that. So after the Ouija board thing, they went back outside. They were smokers. So, they were taking a break, and then we started packing up our stuff before they came back. And then that's when the whole EVP, your recorder vibrating thing happened.
That's such a good memory. I'm such a weirdo. I'm like, ghosts. Remember the time that the voice came through the voice recorder and it like vibrated in my hand? Reminiscing. 10 years. 10 years, Wendy. Anniversary.
I mean, it was one of like the most eventful things that happened that night. It was a personal experience in real time. So those are always really fun. So then we head downstairs. Not much was happening. We did have an issue with your video camera. It kept continuously shutting off. So we checked the batteries and it would shut off and you would turn it back on and it would just shut off again.
It would just shut off. This camera only does that in the most haunted location. It's such a pain in the ass. It works fine any other time. But in the most haunted locations, it's like, nope, not going to record that shit.
It's scarier than me. Yeah, because in Sadamsville, it worked completely fine, but in Villisca, it was like, peace the fuck out. Off. I can't be here.
Like, you left me here.
You and me both, motherfucker. We're good. Yeah. So it's crazy. In this little quaint little B&B, it's like, nah, bitch.
Right.
There's something here. It's Greg. No.
It's Greg.
I say that because this was happening. We're trying to investigate. And then Greg Rivers, the son, which I don't even know if we knew he was there. He showed up even after everybody else. And so he comes in and introduced himself. And it's like, hi, but maybe the camera was acting shy because of him. I don't know.
It's so weird, though. Every single time I have an equipment malfunction, I don't go to it's a paranormal thing. It's a, what the fuck is wrong with this camera thing? Why is it doing this?
It's I should have spent a little bit more money, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Got the better equipment. But seriously, I do think this equipment works because it's trying to let me know that some shit's happening. And here I am being dummy me. I'm like, damn this piece of equipment. Let's change the batteries. Oh, the batteries are still jacked up. Like the ghost meter. And the ghost meter is like, bling, 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 bling. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with it? Shut up. It's doing what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, we're like so used to it not working
right.
or doing anything that we're like, what? I mean,
yeah.
So like I said, though, this all happens with the camera and we're tinkering with it and trying to work it out. And then Greg pops into the picture. And like I said before, of course, we're immediately like, oh, my God, well, you must have like grown up here and shit. So tell us everything. What did you see as a kid? And he's like, nah, I don't really want to talk about that. Oh, right. Okay. Instead, he tells us about other people who have investigated the house, and then he just starts making small talk with us. So we make small talk with him because we're polite Southern ladies, somewhat Southern.
Somewhat polite. Somewhat ladies.
That's true. We're probably actually not ladies at all.
He offers us wine.
He gave us wine. Yeah. So we were like, free wine? Fuck yeah. I'll talk to you. What do you want to talk about? Movies? We can do this all day.
Talk about movies in a haunted location. Sure. Whatever brings on the ghosts.
Yep. And then the sweet, young, happy in love couple upstairs begins fucking fighting loud enough for the whole house to hear.
Screaming. And it was so weird because they didn't seem like there was anything wrong. Like they seemed cool.
Yeah. We have no clue where this switch flipped.
Yeah.
We were investigating and they were quiet during that.
Yeah. Right.
So it's around like 2 a.m. and we decided to head back to the cottage to investigate there along with the backyard. But as we were leaving, we caught a loud EVP of what sounds like a female voice saying, "Don't go." I had been recording the whole time we're talking to Greg and nothing. Got nothing.
Right.
And then we're trying to leave and she's like, "Don't leave, please." I'm assuming she didn't want to be left in the house with all the drama that was going on.
Right.
But I don't know.
It makes sense for her to be like, don't leave, because we were trying to connect with her. There is some drama going on in the house and we're new. It's not like the regulars that are there. So maybe she did want to talk some more, but that's too bad that we didn't hear it until afterwards. And that's how EVPs work. We haven't done a lot of burst sessions. Why? I don't know. We get so wrapped up in the moment. We're just like, let's just do it. Let's just ask every question. Let's put every device out and let's roll with all the punches,
Right. I mean, we record these podcasts for about 2 hours or more, and we get it down to like an hour and 15 minutes. So
we haven't learned anything in 10 years.
I'm saying we don't do burst sessions because we're like, okay, we're going to ask a question for like 2 minutes and then we're going to listen back. And then we're like 10 minutes later, shit, we were supposed to stop it and listen back.
Right.
Oh, I'm not going to listen to that 10 minutes.
Forget it. Let's just keep going.
That's what happens, guys. We need somebody to go with us just to regulate our asses.
We need the scorekeeper there. It's like, no. He's going to blow the whistle.
Somebody's clocking the time. Shut the fuck up. It's time.
The wrap it up clock. Do you remember that episode? Was that wrap this shit up?
So we investigated the backyard for a little bit. We were hanging around, taking some pictures and whatnot, but the weather kind of started to turn. So we head back into the cottage.
Yeah, the backyard was really cool. It was late at night, Tennessee weather. Wind was picking up. It looked like we were about to have a storm.
Yeah, and it never did rain. It just was windy all night, too.
Yeah.
So we're snapping pictures, and then Chris got an interesting photo of our cottage as I'm walking up to the door, where you noticed a dark shape that seems to peer out of the kitchen window. But there are 2 photos that I sent you.
Oh, I love this. The very first photo is very clear. There's no haze or anything. Everything's super clear. There's not even a curtain. And in the second photo, if you're just kind of glancing at it, it looks like maybe there's a curtain in the photo, right? But if you didn't have the first photo to see that it is fucking clear as day, you can see straight into the room. You can see like, I don't know, a cupboard or something. There's like something hanging on the wall. But in the second picture where there's something circled, there's a shadow there and it can't be explained. Like, why is there a shadow there?
It's blocking stuff out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we didn't know this at the time because, like I said, the weather was kind of turning. So Chris is just snap, 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 snap. And then we're getting into the house.
Yeah.
And then we start, setting up equipment and everything. And we're going to do like EVP sessions. And I think we have a spirit board out and the pendulums. And we're trying all of that. And honestly, we didn't feel like a whole lot was going on.
Yeah.
We start to be like, maybe we should go to bed now. We did get a couple of loud EVPs, but we weren't aware of these until we reviewed the evidence.
Right, exactly.
One of them, I can't make out what it's saying, but it's definitely a female voice and it's a sentence. It's not just even one word. And then the other EVP, we put on the YouTube channel that we think it's saying, "Who has tied her?" That sounds like a very odd thing to say. But when you listen to it, it is kind of what it says. So I don't know if we're missing pieces of that sentence to make it make sense, or maybe we're mishearing a few words that would make it a sentence that makes more sense. But they're loud, so I definitely encourage people to check them out, listen to them, tell us what you think they're saying.
Yeah.
All you have to do is go on our YouTube channel, which is COTN Paranormal, and look under the Magnolia Manor playlist. They're very good EVPs. Anyways, we decided to call it a night after all that. And for the first time ever, sleep in a place we had investigated.
Right.
I think we maybe slept for like an hour.
It was a rough hour worth of sleep. I think we've said it probably, I don't know, once at least, that you can't just shut it off. You investigate and you try to raise the dead and you try to communicate and connect and do everything you can to get answers. And then you're like, yeah, I'm sleepy. Let's go to bed. And well, you know what? Then they're like, hey, I wasn't done. Excuse me. Lady with her pulling the covers back or knocking on the door or whatever. They're like, no. This is my prime time. Get your ass back up. So yeah, you can't just shut it off. And we didn't know about that really until Magnolia Manor.
Yep. It was the first time ever because we had always investigated locations and we stay up all night and then we hop in the car and drive home. So this was the first time that it was like, okay, you paid for this room. There's a bed and you can go to sleep. I mean, there's going to be breakfast in the morning and everything. But we were just awake trying to listen and pay attention to everything.
Yeah.
You're trying to heighten all your senses. You're listening for every little noise and you're paying attention to any reactions in your body. And, you're trying to think about all of it. Your mind is really going and really working. And then it's like, now just lay in this bed and go to sleep.
No. Which, I mean, never mind the investigative portion of it. The fact that you're in a new place that has all of these haunted stories, you can't just shut that shit off either. It's like when you go out and you watch a horror movie, it's like, yeah, okay, that didn't happen to me, but damn, that was some scary shit. It's hard to just, all right, and I'm going to go to sleep now. Good night. So what did we do to try and go to sleep?
Well, it didn't help that I swear as soon as we went in there and then it's like, all right, let's lay in bed. Then all of a sudden there's noises.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? In the hallway.
In the hallway, right outside the door. Like, it's 2 feet from where I'm trying to lay down. So before we laid down, we moved the dresser in front of the door. It was after.
I swear, it had to have been after we heard the noises.
Yeah, because there was a reason that prompted us to do that.
I would assume we don't go to every place that we sleep at and put the, all right, the side table drawer goes in front of the door. No, that's not typically us. So we must have laid down and we heard noises and we were like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
You were like, I'm going to move this in front of the door. I'm like, yes, let's do that. And I'm also not going to take my clothes off and I'm going to sleep with my glasses on.
Yeah, right. I know. But I didn't even realize that Wendy was fully dressed until the next morning. So it took me a really long time to go to sleep. We had heard noises throughout the night. And Wendy and I were just laying there like, it's okay. Close your eyes. Go to sleep. Sleep, 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 sleep. Come on, sleep. Sleep never really happened. And there was even a point, Wendy, and I don't remember if you heard this or if I just remember discussing what I heard with you, but there was this large grate in the middle, like a cross section of this cottage. And you walked in the front door and you had to go across this grate to get to the kitchen. You had to cross it to go to the living room. You had to cross it to get to our bedroom. You had to go over this grate with your feet to get into any other part of the house. And I heard someone walking over the fucking grate while I was trying to sleep.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't think I slept. It was like, there's somebody out there.
Yeah. Something like that makes you feel like, yeah, moving that side table drawer in front of the door was a good idea.
Yeah.
Yay me. I made the right move. But yeah, it's a floor vent on the ground and it's where the heat comes in.
Yeah.
And, we didn't have any of that stuff on. It wasn't that type of weather. The mechanics of the house or cottage shouldn't be making noises.
No.
If you've ever lived in a house that has one of those floor grates, then you know what it sounds like when somebody steps on it. It's a distinct sound.
Yeah, that was a really hard night. We kept hearing noises, and it just always seemed like any minute something was going to be there in the room with us.
Yeah.
And not only did you hear the things, but you just felt it. You just knew, It's the same feeling you get when somebody walks into a room and your back's turned. You can feel them. You feel their presence is there. You haven't turned around to look at them yet. Well, it was that same feeling like all I have to do is open my eyes and they're there.
Yeah. It felt as if definitely there's somebody in this house with us.
Yeah. To me, I felt like afterwards, reflecting on that whole time that we were trying to sleep was like they had paid attention to us trying to get a hold of them. And then they were like, okay, well, we're here. We're all here. What did you want? And so going back to what Wendy said earlier about sleeping in her clothes and in her glasses. So at some point I got out of bed because I could see that light was filtering in through the windows again. So I knew that it was morning. And I'm like, well, I can't sleep at all. So I hopped in the shower. The light actually, it made a lot of things a lot easier in that room. I felt a lot more safe, but I still felt like there was an unnatural presence. Like there was still something else around. Not like it was watching me in the shower or anything, but I felt like as soon as I opened the door, it was going to be standing right there. Like I just had that unnerving sense. When you finally got up and you jumped out of bed and you're like, I'm ready to go. And we moved the little armoire or whatever from the front door, I just figured something was going to be there. Like you still had that sense after the whole night. And even though the light was coming in and you felt safer, it still felt like there was still something there. It was bizarre and weird. And yeah.
It's comparable to like walking into Villisca after, you take a step out and you knew something was in that place.
Oh God, yeah.
And then so opening that front door, it's like, are you ready? And you go in and it's like, oh, it actually feels okay in here.
Right.
Don't you remember you came out of the bathroom like all ready and everything and you ready to get up or whatever? Yeah, no. And I just flew the covers off and I was like, yep. And shoes on and everything. I slept in my shoes, everybody.
I was like, did she put that on and get back in bed? What is happening?
So we go back into the main house. It's a bed and breakfast, so they have breakfast for you. They had some sweet ass eggs Benedict. I love eggs Benedict. We thanked Elaine and Tom for their time and their amazing breakfast, and they were such great hosts.
Yeah, they made that shit from scratch too,
Oh yeah, it was awesome. I loved it. They were very gracious hosts.
Yeah, they were.
Now, when I went to go research this location for the story, I found out that on November 18th, 2015, WMC News reported that the beautiful and historic Magnolia Manor, who has opened its doors to visitors and paranormal investigators for more than 2 decades as a bed and breakfast, was now closing its doors to the public.
Wow.
In 2015, Elaine was 82 years old and Tom was 92 years old.
Aww.
They both felt it was time that the home served exclusively as a private residence.
Wow.
Looking more recently is what's going on with the property. In October of 2019, the Magnolia Manor was listed as being sold for just $149,900. Now that's not chump change, ladies and gentlemen, but I would have totally fucking tried to buy this property had I known it was for sale.
I'm sorry, but this is a historic location we're talking about.
They definitely listed it as a higher price when they first put it on the market, but eventually that's what it sold for.
Wow.
I assume that maybe they were trying to sell it with their period piece furniture in there and then slowly probably auction that stuff out.
Oh.
Because the pictures I saw for the listing, it was bare bones. None of that furniture was in there.
Oh my God, seriously?
Well, it wasn't like bare bones, like the walls were ripped off, but there was no furniture in it. Yes.
Oh, all those displaced ghosts.
They're just all over.
Oh no.
Now all these like random residents are haunted.
Oh.
So.
Oh, that's so sad.
Look, I don't know if the ghost got super wild after all of this or if the house needs some extreme repairs, because just 1 month after being sold, it was relisted, but only for $5,000 more. So to me, this doesn't look like an investor trying to flip the property. Right. This is somebody trying to get their like real estate fees paid back is all.
Yeah.
But then it was taken off just a few weeks later. So curious behavior. Don't really know what's going on there. This is a ridiculously old home at this point. I can imagine it needs some repairs that are very costly. So I could see where the price would go down, and I could see where you probably have to invest a lot of money into it to make it grand again.
Guys, come on, invest. Go there. Ghosts. What more do you want?
2 decades of ghost hunting, you know?
I mean...
And then it's just like, boop, we're done with that.
Why didn't Greg reach out to us? I mean, shit, that's insane. You would think that they would have been like, hey, guys, all of our previous ghost hunters, you people that dropped your cards off and, left us a line, here's what's happened. I mean, something that's so weird.
Fucking the old Pittsburgh hospital did that shit when they needed to sell. They had contacted well, I don't know that they specifically contacted other paranormal groups, but there were multiple paranormal groups that were all like, what? That place is for sale? Let's go bananas. So honestly, I don't know who owns it right now. I don't know any of the details, but I definitely fucking want them. If this is going to go back on the market for $150,000, please give me a call. So for anybody who has a story from this historic location or know what's going on, like I said, with the status of this location, I need to know. Please write us at creaturesofthenightparanormal@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on any of our forms of social media, which are COTN_paranormal on Instagram and COTN paranormal on Facebook and Twitter. Don't forget, like I said, we got that YouTube channel too. It's full of a ton of fucking evidence from locations that we've been to over the years. Plus our podcast is posted there as well. It is COTN paranormal.
Yeah, there's stuff from Bethel. There's stuff from Magnolia Manor. There's stuff from the other cemetery that I cannot remember the name. WA something cemetery. It's all there.
Something. It's there.
Yeah.
It's all there, plus so many more. Also, don't forget that you can get your 2020 look from our website, creaturesofthenightparanormal.com, because we got awesome podcast t-shirts.
Yep.
You can also go to our Etsy shop, which is under The Spirit Emporium, because it is full of cool-ass spiritual products, perfect for all paranormal investigators to do a little New Year cleansing. All products were inspired by investigations like this one and our experiences over the past 10 years. So it's legit, guys.
Yes, we are legit scaredy cats, guys.
We're like, don't bring that demon. Burn that shit. Put that crystal on, girl. Gosh.
Burn that sage or catnip, whatever the fuck you choose to use. There'll be catnip on the site soon.
So, as always, guys, thanks for listening.
I fucking loved your story.
You lived it. You should.
So, anytime I get a chance to walk down memory lane is always awesome for me. It's so sad to hear that the Magnolia Manor is in this sort of state where it sounds like it's undecided. We had an amazing experience, and I don't know, it was just one of those things where I just always thought it was going to be there, But what's going on with Magnolia Manor? We don't know.
Yeah.
That's wow.
Like, we've been doing this for 10 years. So, like, our places that we've been to are going to, like, slowly start disappearing. I know there's people still into the paranormal and they're still investigating. So, like, there's a market for this shit. So don't give up, guys.
Right.
Whoever bought that house, I mean, I can see it could be a very nice, cool-ass house for you.
Yeah, it would be a cool-ass house.
It'd be an even cooler bed and breakfast for us. So
I know.
keep that shit alive. Don't give up, man.
Yeah. And you don't always have to play up the paranormal aspect. Open it up for people who want to have weddings. People love that antique, historic, the actual wood that has been untouched. They love that look.
Yeah.
The staircase is beautiful. It comes right down to that beautiful front door. And the front porch, do you remember how big and wide it was?
Can you imagine, like, I know it's in the middle of nowhere and stuff, but if you live in Nashville or you live in Memphis or Jackson or something like that, and you want a little getaway, I mean, like, that town was so cute.
It is a cute town.
I want to buy this place. So as long as you bring something in, you have little events going on, like, tonight's paint night, couples paint night, or just let's drink and paint.
That's right.
Yeah, you have little like social events to bring people in. That's all you'd have to do to make that such a hot spot, because I
love it.
It does have such a charm about it. And then you can keep with the paranormal aspect, unless it was all connected to the furniture, which is gone. So, I mean...
Right. That's sad. And all you have to do is learn how to make eggs Benedict and...
Sold. I've been spoiled living out here out west, though. Now I want it with chorizo on it. So.
Oh, I love chorizo. Chorizo goes with everything. It's the fucking bomb.
Sprinkle it on everything.
I do. I actually don't put beans in my chili anymore. I just put chorizo in it. It's delish.
That's a good idea.
It's so good. It'll blow your mind. So chorizo and ghosts, and and it's delish. So that's it, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got for you. And bye.
Bye.